We have Darren and Richard from eScope Solutions, and they're going to talk to us about security and intrusion prevention and evasion. Have at it, guys.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Richard Williams from eScope Solutions. For over 20 years, we've been providing managed security services exclusively to credit unions nationwide. And over those years, we've developed strategic partnerships with some of the leading technologies in the industry. One of those strategic partnerships is with Stonesoft Solutions. They drive our managed intrusion prevention systems. Here to present that technology is Darren Saprina. He's the security solutions architect. So without further ado, I'll give you Darren.
Hi there, folks. Yes, my name is Darren Saprina from Stonesoft. I'd like to introduce you to a new threat that I think you should be aware of, and this is something called evasions. By the way, just so you understand, Stonesoft is Europe's largest firewall and IPS provider. We're now part of McAfee. An evasion is a disguise. If you were thinking about the ways I might be able to breach your organization, I could walk in the front door dressed as I am, but it would be pretty obvious. But if I came through as the pizza delivery guy or someone who's going to vacuum the carpets or whatever, it would be probably more effective because I'd be disguised. You wouldn't recognize I'm coming there. And it turns out that in the IT sector, it's possible also to disguise common malware. So it doesn't really matter what you're using. Who here uses Cisco for security? Fortinet? SonicWall? You've probably heard of all these names. It turns out that it's relatively easy to cut through any of them as if they don't exist by simply disguising the messages that I'm sending. So if I'm reaching out to your web server, all I need to do is to disguise a message and I can effectively get right past them and you'll never see me coming, which is kind of nasty. It'd be nice if you were able to understand what was coming your way, but let me give you an example of this technology. What I'd like to do is use an application which we created for purposes of testing. So this is a test application. You can actually download it from our website. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a sample piece of malware, something old, like Conficker, at a test target system. Let me show you what my target system looks like. My target system is simply a Windows XP client. So I want to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. I'm going to attempt to throw a common piece of malware, Conficker, at that target, and let's see what happens if I do so. Well, I should probably have been, let me scroll here, I should probably have been successful in breaching it. It says, yep, I may have been successful. Let me take a look and see what actually happened. All your servers are mine. Yes, it looks like I was successfully able to breach that system. So that's not really good. And that's not really surprising because there was no protection in the way. So let me go ahead and I'll add an intrusion prevention system in the mix. I'll use something high value, like a Palo Alto system. It's a fairly well-respected platform out there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do this execution again, and under the ideal conditions, when I execute, what I should find is that it says it terminated the connection. Let me go back to my victim. Well, so far so good. It doesn't look like the victim was compromised, and indeed if I go to the logging system of this intrusion prevention system, I'm sure you all have firewalls and intrusion prevention systems in your environment. Yes, indeed, a new entry was made, so the Palo Alto system was successful in being able to detect the attack. That's always good when we detect malware coming our way. But it turns out that there are more than 300 known disguises, and that means that there are about 800 million possible combinations, ways I can stack them when talking to your servers. Let me show you what that looks like if I turn on one of those evasions. And I'm going to use a very specific evasion called pause elimination. As I said, there are literally more than 300 of these, and that's 800 million possible combinations. And I'm going to go ahead and do this again and execute my same attack, same Conficker attack. This time, however, it's saying the attack may have been successful. Let me go back to my client. Even though I had the IPS in the way, I'm still able to breach your systems. That's bad. All right, so that being the case, what about their logging? Did they even detect that I was coming in the first place? Let me refresh. Refreshing, almost done, and no, they didn't detect it. So what is the value here? Well, using this form of attack, I can not only present malware to your systems, I can ensure that you can't see me coming, and I can use this technique iteratively to figure out what security systems you have. So now I know what you have, how to defeat it, and I can attack your servers. That's not really good. What should I have done? What should I have potentially seen or done in order to protect against this? Well, the solution is that one has to have an understanding of all the options, all the parameters. For every protocol you want to be able to service, your intrusion prevention system has to have that intelligence and that knowledge. And if I were to execute in that fashion, now I'm using the StoneSoft product, and I'll go to my management server, and what I'm able to detect is not only the attack, not only that Microsoft remote procedure call attack called configure, but I'm also able to detect the fact that someone was attempting to purposely disguise, someone was attempting to get into my organization by wrapping their messages in a disguise. So the takeaway here, the takeaway here is that if you're not willing to look at how to detect disguising, how people can disguise attacks that are coming your way, you're liable to get owned. So what I'd like you to do is come by the eScope booth where Estonians are hanging out, and I'll be able to show you more about how you can defend against this emerging form of attack.
Thank you very much, Darren. And please also stop by and get your own free copy of Anti-Evasion Techniques for Dummies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. First question is, what is the most common type of attack that that you've encountered?
Well, remember that these are in and of themselves disguises, not attacks. They're ways to disguise an attack. And then probably the most common one we see is simply by controlling the number of bytes, the number of packets that are sent to someone before an acknowledgement is expected. If I use that technique, I can get past any Cisco ASA system. So that's probably the most common form of attack, since so many people have broadly deployed Cisco IPS product.
Okay, great. And who cut your hair?
I have no idea. My wife sends me to where she works, which is Macy's, and they just buzz me down.
Fantastic. Can this look at an encrypted payload through SSL inspection of the packets?
Yes, of course. SSL, TLS decode, plus SSH decode as well. So we can decrypt anything up to AES 256-bit.
Excellent. Thank you so much.